Hello and welcome to my short presentation today. My name is Giovanna Comollo and I am a professional Italian translator, post-editor, reviewer, language lead for several companies, and of course, subtitler. I started my career back in 1981 as a technical translator, but I approached the world of subtitling only just before the pandemic. I think it was 2019, because I was truly disappointed with the quality of subtitles I could see online and I could see on TV, especially the quality of subtitles of the most famous film distributors in the market. I cannot make any names, but you probably understand whom I'm talking about. I would like to thank, first of all, Proz for having me here. I hope this presentation is going to make you look into the subject further and to stimulate curiosity, first of all. So let's dive into the matter together. So the first thing to say is that subtitles are a different art from translation altogether. A translator is not automatically a subtitler. We need skills, specific skills for subtitling, as subtitling has very specific rules and constraints. And I will try and show you the most important ones here. This is just a presentation, not a webinar or a course. So it's just to make you curious and aware of the limits we have when we need to translate subtitles. As we all translators are curious, you probably want to go deeper into the subject. Subtitling comes in different forms, and our life is full of subtitles, really, and they all have their own complexities and rules depending on where they are used. Cinema, TV, mobile phones, e-learning, congresses, theater, opera. Once we had the opera, we used to have the booklets. And the booklets are still there, but you can also read the lines on screen now, because today AI comes in and helps us whichever field we decide to work in. So it's very important. Whom is subtitling meant for? Everyone, you would say, adults, children, elderly people who may be hard of hearing, the deaf, employees of a company wishing to understand better maybe another language, and even for language learning, because children are using subtitles to learn another language. That is also why subtitles need to be precise and correct, grammatically correct. And all these subtitles are all different. They have limits and constraints. Subtitles are also called captions, especially in the States, or closed captions. Generally, uh, closed captions are more for the deaf and hard of hearing. The most important concept of all subtitles or captions is readability, because this is what they're made for. And of course, they depend on the public using them. Bad subtitling is hard to read. It may be too fast, badly segmented, too slow, too long. You already know, right? You have that feeling. We said that readability is the most important characteristic of subtitles. So how can we obtain readability? How do we read actually? What is best for readability? Let's look at the first feature, segmentation. You cannot split a sentence with a preposition on one line and the name on the other. For example, you have here, the town was at the edge of the wood. The correct way of segmenting it would be the town was at the edge of the wood. Then the course is intended for first grade students. The course is intended for first grade students. Our mind reads in a certain way, and slower when you are very young or very old, and obviously faster when you know the subject better. So segmentation is one of the most important features for us subtitler. What is segmentation then? By segmentation, we mean the way we put a sentence on a video. So the best would be to have syntactically self-contained sentences all the time. But this is not always possible, of course. There should be no more than 2 lines anyway, even maybe 3 sometimes for marketing purposes, but its readability would be reduced. So no more than 2 lines, where the second one can be equal or longer than the first one. So as long as the first one or longer. Subject, verb, and object must be all together and always on the same line. Never leave prepositions on one line and putting the name on the other. And the subtitle is generally put at the bottom of the screen, but you can also put it at the top. It depends on the person speaking on screen. If it's covered by the subtitle, you cannot leave it there. You have to move it around. But we will see this feature afterwards because it's no longer so difficult. Okay. Then your 2 lines have a length that ranges from 39 to 45 characters per line, depending on the client. 12 to 20 characters per second. This gives readability because children read at a lower speed, as well as the elderly people. While, for example, if you're reading a presentation of your own company and you know the subject very well, you can read probably much faster. So don't forget that you have 2 lines. The second one is as long as the first one or longer. There can be exceptions, but quite rare because our brain reads the lines in this way much better. So how can I achieve this result? I can do it in several ways. I can condensate, that is, reformulate the sentence in a more concise way. Then I can leave out interjections, like, for example, yes, no, therefore, maybe words like this, because verbal expressions in videos are always supported by non-verbal expressions, such as, for example, head movements, hand movements, face and eye expressions. If I smile, I don't have to say he's smiling. And then, I don't know, things like you do this, and you have many films with these expressions. So you can leave out what the video is telling with other means, by other means. In documentaries and e-learning, the subtitle is not that essential. Let's say it should still follow the voice, but it doesn't really mean that he has to say everything word by word. It has to start and stop with the voice, and that's it. So you can condensate the sentence. You can remove the unnecessary parts, such as, for example, in this example from French into English, je n'aime pas les chiens, pas du tout. Vous pouvez bien comprendre. It would become simply, I don't like dogs at all. Or you can even leave at all out if it doesn't fit in with the length of the speech. But these details will be obviously found in courses. It's not part of a presentation. And again, you have instruments that you should use, but rules to follow. You may also want to use synonyms if they are shorter than the original term. If you can, unless these terms, of course, are in the guidelines that the customer will give you, then you may have to change other expressions in the sentence or modify it some other ways. And for example, you could use pure instead of anche in Italian, or I don't know, di nuovo instead of nuovamente. You can have several ways. So I think you can do it in any language. Then by condensating or omitting, you can actually be sure that the subtitle remains on screen long enough. Then you have punctuation, and remember that punctuation is still very important, but it has to follow the rules of a target language. Please do not follow the rules of the source language, because the reader would read in the target one, and therefore you have to comply with the rules for Italian, French, or whatever language you are using. Another concept would be localization, because localization may be important to the client. If it's a film, for example, they might want to give the viewer the feeling that the person has a French accent, for example. Alors, are you coming with us? Or if you want to give it a Spanish twist, you would have, hey, amigos, do you understand? By leaving something in the original language. This does not pertain to the world of e-learning or documentaries, but it's still important to know that localization guidelines would be given by the client. And the clients nowadays luckily provide us with many more guidelines that they used to give us back in the past. They give us guidelines about almost everything. We have no time to go into much detail here, but you have to stick to the guidelines anyway. For example, they would give you would tell you how many words they want per line, how many characters per second, what kind of audience we are talking about, and what kind of localization. Last but not least, gaps. What are gaps? Gaps are the pauses between subtitles. They are always essential and need to be correct, otherwise we are affecting readability again. A subtitle is usually 1 to 6 seconds long, and gaps between subtitles are usually half a second, the equivalent of 2 frames in cinema, or more. They help readability and avoid overlapping. I remember once we had to add everything by hand. But today, AI, the intelligence the artificial intelligence, comes to our help and supports us a lot in different programs with these settings. So artificial intelligence is an actual revolution in the field, in the localization of multimedia content in particular. Um, However, we should consider all the limits it has. The new programs allow you to set all the constraints and limits at the beginning in the settings in order to almost forget about them and just translate and take care of segmentation. There is a lot of talk about artificial intelligence for the automatic translation of subtitles, as well as for the automatic translation of almost every text today. It can be time saving, money saving for companies, but also very misleading. We should remember that the basic language of artificial intelligence is English, which unfortunately is literally phagocyting, I can say so, our languages, and introducing a lot of new words badly translated, literally, too literally from English into other languages like Italian, and for which, although it is of great help, of course, it does not reach any satisfactory level in subtitling so far, especially in terms of segmentation. If you look at the programs, the existing programs for transcription, I have written two here, TurboScribe, which I like very much, and Sonics, which I don't like so much. It's a bit complex and segmentation is very bad, very poor, very difficult to use. Um, the human touch, therefore, cannot be taken off the equation anyway. If you are a novice to subtitling, I would recommend you go for Subtitle Edit or Subtitle Workshop, as they can be easily downloaded and they have several useful features. They're easy to learn, easy to try, they don't cost anything. And among their features, they have the waveform, which helps queuing in and out of the dialogues. And you can set every the length and the speed per second to there, and then you can move your subtitles around on the waveform if you want. But it's easy to use and easy to learn. While ONA, this would be best for SDH, so the subtitles for the deaf and the hard of hearing, so a bit more difficult. Uh, you can, for example, transcribe your text with, I don't know, TurboScribe or Sonics if you like it, and then bring it back to Subtitle Edit for perfecting. And you can really improve the text a lot, but you need to also educate the customer in a way to give you the material, the video, the audio, the final one. Also for the nuances, you can really help finding there. Anyway, many customers, especially in the audiovisual market, give you a template that is a basic machine translation of the dialogues, sometimes not so good, but mostly good enough to just modify the sentences, and then you don't need to take care of anything else but segmentation, grammar, and punctuation. So many features are taken care of, and it's much easier for the translator or subtitler or adapter, whatever you would like to call us. So, as I said at the beginning, this presentation really only aimed at stimulating curiosity in fellow translators and interpreters about subtitling. And I strongly recommend you attend at least one full course online or in presence, of course, before you take on any subtitling tasks, because if you make mistakes, you would probably be just left out of the projects, of the future projects, and it's for yourself, to improve your skills anyway. And I would strongly recommend UCL courses. They are a bit more expensive than any others online, but they are very good. They are given by fellow interpreters, subtitlers, skilled subtitlers. And so they're very good. They have different levels, and you can also go further down the line to SDH, as I said, the subtitling for hard of hearing, and it's the London's Global University, so it can be trusted. The Zoo Academy is also very good. It doesn't cost much, and you can take it at your own pace. There are exams, there are exercises, a bit less often than the UCL offer, but it's still very good. And if you find others in your country, just have a look at them. They should be as complete as possible, because otherwise, if it's just an idea, just a part of it, or no exercises at all, they would probably be useless. Um, Also for dubbing, there's a lot. We haven't gone into dubbing yet, at least for what I've seen in Proz.ProBono, but I'm sure there will be requirements about that too, and the younger uh, translators may be interested in these new fields. So, in the end, it will be a success. I'm sure you will enjoy your subtitling art. Thank you very much for listening. Thank you very much if you will want to take a look at Pro Bono further and become part of it together with us. It will be a pleasure to meet you again. Thank you. Have a nice day or evening.